Hi, I'm Erica Hoyer, and today's short, sweet practice targets the core. So as usual, we're going to start with just a minute of focusing on the breath and developing a breath that on the exhale cultivates the core, and from that core strength on the inhale lifts the back of the heart away from the pelvis. Exhale takes the breath down the inside of the spine to develop core strength and pick up the pelvic floor. And the inhale keeps that strength and lifts the back of the heart away from it. Exhale, core. Inhale from the core to lift the back of the heart away from the pelvis. So exhale into strength, pick up the pelvic floor, hold that strength, and inhale to create length up the back body. So you get that pranic lift up the inside of the spine through the palate. Exhaling nice and deep into the core, pelvic floor. One more. Keeping the core strength. Inhale from it, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels. And then exhale into the core and come forward onto hands and knees. Just for cat and cow, where we're going to focus on breath and what the breath gives us in the way of movement and strength and length. Yeah. So now on the exhale, lifting up into angry cat and really pushing down through the extremities to get that lift. On the inhale, pushing down and pulling the hands towards the knees and stretching, lifting the back of the heart away from the pelvis. Exhale inside the spine, core, pelvic floor, push to really get that lift. And then inhale and push and pull yourself through, lifting the back of the heart away from the pelvis and the heels. And we'll just do 3 more of each. Exhale, angry cat, finding that core strength. And then inhale and coming through, pulling the hands and lifting the back of the heart away from the sit bones. Exhale, core, pelvic floor, angry cat, really angry. Inhale, cow pose. So feel like you're mooing over the fence. Exhale, very, very, very angry cat. Inhale, push and pull the hands towards you, lift the back of the heart, moo over the fence. One more. Inhale, push, angry cat, nice, pick up the pelvic floor, and then inhale, cow pose. And then exhale to neutral. And what you want to do in this neutral pose is find the balance between angry cat and cow, so you get a feeling of length through the back body and lift up into the inside of the spine with the front body. Yeah, so you need to find energy down through the hands, down through the knees and the tops of the feet, extension through the sit bones, lift of the back of the heart, and a dropping of the shoulder blades, sacrum towards the heels, and a little bit of energy out through the heels. You get energy through the heels by pressing the toenails into the floor. Good. Now we're going to do bird dog, so targeting the core. So on an inhale, we're going to raise the left arm first, and you want to raise the left arm as though you're stretching out. So you're accessing this whole side body and stretching out of the core. And then exhale and feel like you're squeezing the arms and the legs towards the midline and pulling back into the core. Yeah, so inhale, stretch out of the core, lift the back of the heart away from the heels. Exhale, squeeze towards the midline, pull into the core. One more. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, squeeze towards the midline, pull into the core, lift the pelvic floor. Key. And then release the arm, bring it back to the floor. And we're going to inhale and raise the left leg. So again, you're stretching it back and out. Okay, pushing through the heel and the roots of the toes, and exhale, squeeze towards the midline, pull into the core, and find the marriage of cat and dog or cat and cow in the upper body. So you get a lift through the front body. Inhale, lift the back of the heart away from the heel. Very easy to find that here now. Exhale, squeeze towards the midline in the arms and the legs, pull into the low belly, pick up the pelvic floor. One more. Inhale, stretch, lift the back of the heart away from the heel. Exhale, squeeze towards the midline, pull into the core, and then release the leg. Good, we'll do the other side. So inhale, raising the arm out and stretching so you feel that whole stretch through the side body. And this side body, the hip and the ribs and the waist become part of the arm. Exhale, squeeze the legs, pull back into the core. Find that midpoint in the low belly, pelvic floor area. Inhale, stretch out, pushing down, reaching back through the sit bones, lifting the back of the heart out through the fingertips. Exhale, squeeze, pull back into the core. And then bring the arm down, and we'll inhale and raise, stretching out and extending out to raise the right leg. You can bring that down just a little bit. There you go. And then stretch through the heel, lift the back of the heart away from the heel as you inhale. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. That's better, yeah? Your angry cat. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze towards the midline, pull into the core, and drop the shoulder blades. Inhale, heel, lift the back of the heart. Exhale, squeeze towards the midline. Everything meets in the low belly, lift the pelvic floor. One more. Inhale, push, lift. Exhale, squeeze, pull into the core. Good, and release. Okay, and now we're gonna do two things at a time. So we're gonna raise the left arm and the left leg. So you really wanna feel as though you're lengthening to lift. Good, so stretching the heels away from the fingertips. As you inhale, lift the back of the heart away from the heel and out through the fingertips. Exhale, squeeze towards the midline, pull into the core, pick up the pelvic floor. Inhale, extension to lift. Exhale, core, pulling everything back in. Inhale, lift the back of the heart out through the fingertips away from the heel. Exhale, squeeze, pull into the core, pick up the pelvic floor. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, draw the energy back in, and that picking up the pelvic floor is the final piece, and then bring down. Good, and then inhale the other side, stretching out to rise up. That's it. Exhale, squeeze towards that midline, running through the body, pull it into the core. Inhale, push through the heel, lift the back of the heart out through the fingertips. Exhale, squeeze to midline, pull into the low belly, pelvic floor lifts. From that strength, inhale out, lift the back of the heart. Exhale, squeeze, pull into the core, lift the pelvic floor to get that strength. Hold the strength, inhale from it, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels. And then exhale, core, pelvic floor, and come back onto all fours. Okay, one more step. So we're gonna come back into inhaling and lifting up opposite sides, left arm and right leg first. The inhale takes us up and extends us, and then the exhale, you're gonna bring the elbow to the knee, core, pelvic floor. Inhale, extend out, lifting the back of the heart through the fingertips. Exhale, curl into the core, lift the pelvic floor. Inhale, out through the heel and the fingertips, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. Two more. Inhale, extend, lift the back of the heart away from the heels, out through the fingertips. Exhale, inside the spine, core, pelvic floor. One more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, deep into the core, lift the pelvic floor, and then release and come into hands and knees. And then inhale and raise the other side, extending. Exhale, inside the spine, core, pelvic floor. Did I knock you over? Sorry. Inhale, extend, lift the back of the heart out to the fingertips. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. I like when Roz does all the work. Inhale, extend. Exhale, core, nice curl. Good, pick up the pelvic floor. Inhale, extend. And exhale, core, pelvic floor. And then come back to center. Good, and sit back on your heels for a moment. Nice, thanks. Okay, the next one we're gonna do is against the wall. So I'll quickly demonstrate, and then Roz is going to do it, and I'll talk through. Okay, so when you stand against the wall, you want to have your feet quite far away from the wall, so you get a good lean going, a real lean. Yeah, if you're too close to the wall, it's not going to work. And here you want to have your heels into the floor and the roots of the toes into the floor, and an inner spin to the thighs, and feel the sacrum against the wall, so you get that scoop in the low belly, pelvic floor. Okay, and then we're gonna bring the feet apart, and you want to have a real coming apart. So a lot of times when I say toes out, heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out, I get this little movement, but you want to be bigger than that, so don't be afraid. Toes out, heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out. So you end up quite far apart. And here again, you want to press the heels into the floor and roll the sacrum into the wall so that when we exhale and come down, you have 90 degrees pretty much over the ankles. Yeah, and you can push through the heels and roll the sacrum into the wall and get that scoop in the low belly, lift the pelvic floor. Okay, and then you want to feel all the vertebrae into the wall up to the back of the sternum. After that, you can have a little curl forward, but everything from here down to the sacrum into the wall. Okay, so I'm going to take Roz into it. Good. So that's about right. She might be, yeah, that's right. And then feel the heels into the floor and push the heels so that you roll the sacrum into the wall. And you feel the spine into the wall right up to about the sternum. Okay, and then toes out, heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out. Roz is very brave. Okay, before you go down, because you want to do the preparation before you go down, because once you're down, it's a little bit more difficult. You want to push through the heels. You want to roll the thighs open so that the knees are facing directly in the same direction as the toes. Okay, and when you push through the heels, you want to let that drop the sacrum towards the heels, the shoulder blades towards the heels, and very importantly, same as all our other classes, lift the back of the heart away from the heels. That gives you that pranic lift up the inside of the spine through the palate that takes you into the wall and takes the weight out of these puppies. Okay, so tail of the exhale into the core, lower down, bending the knees over the feet. Drop the heels, sacrum, shoulder blades, and inhale, lift the back of the heart away from the heels. Okay, exhale inside the spine into the core, pelvic floor. So this is core strengthening, so focus on the core. Inhale, push through the heels, lift the back of the heart away from the heels, letting the energy come up the inside of the spine and lift you. And then exhale, squeeze the legs, pull into the core, pick up the pelvic floor, and drop the heels. You can bring your hands into namaste and push against the hands, dropping the shoulder blades down as you drop the heels. And then inhale from dropped heels, lifting the back of the heart, letting the energy come up the inside of the spine. And exhale, squeeze the legs a little bit towards the midline. So you're not really moving, it's just an energetic drawing back up into the core. Drop the heels, lift the back of the heart away from the heels. Exhale, inside the spine, core. Pick up the pelvic floor. Drop the heels. Inhale, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. One more. Inhale, drop the heels. Take the energy up the inside of the spine, but also lifting the back of the heart. Exhale, core. Oh, let's do one more. You're really doing well. Drop the heels. Inhale, lift the back of the heart. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. Good. And then inhale and make your way up the wall. And just shake out your thighs if you've got a lot of energy happening in the thighs. Yeah? Okay? Okay, so doing that 2 or even 3 times, fabulous core strengthener. Okay, then coming back to the mat, and we're going to come down in downward puppy. So you want to come onto your knees. Good, and start on the hands and knees. And for downward puppy, we really are trying to stretch out this area now that we were exercising. So coming back into a one-sided bird dog, yes, stretching out, stretching through that whole side, and then exhale and place the hand on the floor, and then walk the fingers out just another step or 2 till you feel a nice stretch all the way through, and you can press down through that knee and draw this hip away from the fingertips and push down and forward with the hands so that you're stretching yourself in 2 directions. And then come down onto this left elbow, and you can place your forehead on the floor and just let yourself stretch. So the idea is that pushing down and forward with the hand, and pushing down, squeezing the legs, pulling them into the core, and drawing this hip back. Good. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. Inhale, just raise your head. And exhale, now really extend through the left hand, leaving the right hand out there. Yeah, and walk the fingertips a little bit further out too. Good. And you want to just bend the elbows slightly and roll them under to wrap the shoulder blades. Yeah, so you feel like you can come into serratus anterior up here, and then bring the forehead down and core pelvic floor. So you're looking for a marriage of angry cat and cow in this pose too. So you might want to bring your knees a little closer in. Good, yeah. Pushing down through the knees and the tops of the feet, squeezing the legs and using that core strength to pull the hips, extend the hip bones back from the hands, which are pushing down and forward to push the hips back. Good. And then tail of the exhale, squeeze the legs, pull into the core, lift the head on the inhale, and then exhale, walk your hands around to the right. So we're gonna just get a little bit of an extra stretch through the side body, trying to keep the hips pretty even. So push down through the knees, not too hard, you don't wanna hurt your knees, and squeeze the legs, pull into the core, and pull this left hip back from the right hand, and then let your forehead come down and enjoy the stretch and focus on the breath, the inhale that lifts the back of the heart away from the heels, and the exhale that comes into the core. Yeah, and just find what that breath gives you. Energy down and forward through the hands. Good. And then tail of your exhale, pick up your pelvic floor, inhale, raise your head. Exhale, walk your hands back to center and coming over to the other side. And then pushing down and forward with the hands to stretch back through the right side. Trying to keep the hips pretty even. And press back through the sit bones, down through the knees, out through the heels, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels as you inhale. Good. Exhale, squeeze the legs, pull into the core. Nice. One more breath. Inhale, finding your stretch, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels. Exhale, inside the spine, core strength, pick up your pelvic floor, and then inhale, lift your head, and walk your hands back to the center on an exhale. Good, and just go back into puppy for a couple more breaths. Good. Back through the sit bones, down through the knees, out through the heels. Inhale, lift the back of the heart, pushing down and forward with the hands to shift the hips back into the core. Good. Tail of the exhale, pick up the pelvic floor. Inhale, head comes up. Exhale, walk your hands back under your shoulders. And then come back to sit on your heels, but not fully because you want to swivel your legs around to the front. Good. Okay, so we're going to work in 3 different, can you just shift back a little bit? Great, thank you. We're going to work at 3 different levels, work our way through 3 different levels of boat pose. And so if you find that we are moving into a version that doesn't work for you and you're losing focus of the core, then just move back to the previous version, okay? So the first one is scissors, okay? So first sitting and finding the sit bones through the bum flesh, okay? And then bending the knees, squeezing the legs, pulling them into the core, and shifting your weight back. Okay, feeling the core engaging. So you need to push down through the sit bones and the heels and lift the back of the heart away from the sit bones. And then exhale and rock back and cross the ankles. Inhale, raise the arms and stretch out through the fingertips, lifting the back of the heart out through the fingertips and the palate. And then exhale, squeeze the legs, even though the legs aren't moving, energetically, psychically squeezing them towards the midline, pulling them into the core, lifting the pelvic floor. Inhale, down through the sit bones, up through the back of the heart, lifting the back of the heart out through the fingertips. Exhale, inside the spine, squeeze the legs, pull them into the core, lift the pelvic floor. One more. Inhale, stretch a little bit through the soles of the feet, lift the back of the heart away from the pelvis. Exhale, squeeze the legs, pull into the core, and release. Okay, so now we're going to put some movement to it. We're going to inhale back up, lift the back of the heart, bring the hands out, exhale core, pick up the pelvic floor, and then inhale, exhale, or find the breath, the rhythm of breath that works for you, stretching through the roots of the toes and the heels and lifting the back of the heart away from the feet and out through the fingertips. Exhaling into the core. Okay, good. And you can continue doing this, or you can move into the next stage, which is uncrossing the feet, bringing the knees together and lifting the feet 90 degrees. Squeeze the legs, pull them into the core, pick up the pelvic floor and lift the back of the heart out through the fingertips. Core on the exhale. Inhale, push through the feet, down through the sit bones, lift the back of the heart. Exhale, squeeze the legs, pull them into the core, lift the pelvic floor and release. Good. You can just stretch forward to release usually the hip flexor muscle, okay? And then we'll try one more of those and move into full Navasana, full boat pose, okay? So you can bring your hands to your knees, squeeze the legs, pull into the core, pick up the pelvic floor, inhale, and just rock back onto the sit bones, flex the feet, pick up the pelvic floor, and push through the heels to lift the feet and lift the back of the heart and bring the arms out. And you're lifting the back of the heart out through the fingertips. Squeeze the legs, pull them into the core, pick up the pelvic floor. You can take 3 breaths here, or if you want to, exhale, pick up the pelvic floor, and inhale, push through the heels. Squeeze the legs, pull into the core. Inhale, push through the heels and lift the back of the heart out through the fingertips. Exhale, squeeze the legs, pull into the core. Inhale, push and lift the back of the heart. Exhale, squeeze, pull into the core and release and come down. Nice. Okay, and then just taking a moment, and always there's a residue to the poses and you can feel it in your body. So see if you can just tune into the residue and watch it dissipate. Okay, and we'll do one more. Exhale into the core, pick up the pelvic floor, inhale, rock back. Okay, you can do scissors, or you can do half Navasana, or you can exhale, pick up the pelvic floor and inhale, push through the heels and lift the back of the heart away. Exhale, squeeze the legs, pull into the core. Inhale, push, lift the back of the heart. Exhale, squeeze, draw everything into the core. Inhale, push, lift the back of the heart. Exhale, squeeze, pull into the core, lift up the pelvic floor. Inhale, push. Exhale, squeeze, pull into the core and release. Nicely done. Observe the residue. And then as it dissipates, lay back down on your mat. Good. And then we're going to bend our knees and bring them just outside hip width apart. Yes, fairly close to the bum. So this is a bit too close. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you feel like you have some leverage because we're going to do pelvic tilts to stretch the front body. But before we start, tucking the chin a little bit, dropping the shoulder blades, dropping the pelvis, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels, which are slightly pushing into the floor. So you start to get that alignment before we even start. Yeah? Then we use the breath to move. So the inhale, push down, roll the sacrum, the spine, and lift the back of the heart away from the heels. And then exhale, take that curl into the mat up. Stretching the knees over the toes, releasing the buttocks and letting the sit bones drop into the top of the hamstrings. As you inhale, push down, stretch, and stretch the front body and the back body. Try and stretch through the hip flexors. And as you exhale, squeeze legs towards the midline and come back down. Core, pelvic floor. We'll do this 4 more times. Pushing down, roll into the mat as you inhale and take that curl up on the exhale. Core engages, knees stretch over toes, bum relaxes, drop the sit bones into the top of the hamstrings. Inhale, push down, stretch the front and back body. And then exhale and come down, core, pelvic floor. Drop the heels, inhale, curl into the mat, lift the back of the heart away from the heels, and exhale, take the curl up, core, stretch the knees over the toes. Inhale, push down, stretch, let the front body stretch, let the back body lift. Exhale, come down, core, pelvic floor. drop the heels. Inhale, curl into the mat, lift the back of the heart away from the heels, and exhale, take the curl up. Nice strong core, stretch the knees over the toes, relax the buttocks, drop the sit bones into the top of the hamstrings, and inhale, lift the back body, stretch the front body. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. One last one. Drop the drop the heels. Inhale, curling into the mat. Exhale, take the curl up. Core engages, knees stretch over the toes. Inhale, push down and stretch the front body. Lift the back body to stretch the front body, and then exhale, core, pelvic floor. Nicely done. Inhale, bring the knees to the chest. And just taking 3 nice long deep breaths there. Feet are still active, heels, roots of the toes. Inhale lifts the back of the heart away from the heels as always. And the exhale always takes you back into the core, lifts the pelvic floor, and gives stability to the inside and the outside of the sacrum. From which you inhale, pushing through the heels, lifting the back of the heart away from the heels. Exhale, core, pelvic floor. Last one. Inhale, push through the heels, lift the back of the heart away from the heels. Exhale, core, pelvic floor, and lay yourselves down for Shavasana. Yeah, so for Shavasana, making sure the back feels long, the whole back body. So the chin slightly tucked, base of the skull released, vertebrae of the neck released, shoulder blades down the back, sacrum long, legs long out of the pelvis, back of the heart lengthened away from the heels. Yeah, peeling the tongue off the roof of the mouth, letting the teeth part slightly, smiling to yourself, letting the lips soften, and then just beginning to release. Releasing through the skin of the face and the scalp, of the arms and the hands, of the chest and the upper back, the ribs, the belly, the lower back, the buttocks, the legs, the feet, and allowing all the layers to release away from each other and the practice to integrate. The breath becomes soft and natural. And thank you again for joining us. If you need any more information on Yoga with Erica, check yogayukon.ca, and you'd be welcome to come to classes anytime.